Book 3 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is called Vibhuti, which means manifestation. And I suggested in my introduction at the very beginning of this series of videos that this manifestation is the context which we find ourselves in. This manifestation, it's the context for our spiritual practice, for sadhana. But manifestation is also what happens as a result of our spiritual practice, especially as outlined in books 1 and 2. And at the beginning of book 3, we really cannot be thinking in terms of consensus reality. We are operating from yogic vision, and this vision has got nothing to do with consensus reality. Consensus reality which is based on the understanding that there's an individual here, a world out there, and that somehow this individual here is experiencing and operating in that world out there. Books 1 and 2 are concerned with establishing us in this yogic vision. So given that there's no individual here in relation to a world out there, we have to give up notions of control. And the traditional understanding of book 3 is about acquiring supernormal powers, which are very much rooted in notions of control. So we have to state quite clearly at the beginning here that notions of control have got to be completely let go of, along with this traditional understanding that book 3 is about acquiring supernormal powers. So, what sort of manifestations can we expect in book 3? There's a transformation going on. The more we become established in yogic vision, the more aspects of our psychophysical organism come into alignment with it. So book 1 is about samadhi. Book 2 is about reinforcing samadhi. And book 3 is about the adjustments, the fine-tuning which happen or need to happen in order for becoming established in samadhi to gain momentum. Now book 2 ended with the last limbs of the 8-limbed path of yoga. And book 3 begins with the last 3 limbs. These are concentration, dharana, meditative absorption, dhyana, and samadhi. Sutra 1 tells us that fixing the attention binds the mind to a single point. So we're beginning once again with the attention. The attention is the key to samadhi. And this is dharana, fixing the attention to a single point. What this means is the attention isn't being hijacked all over the place, either inwardly or outwardly. We must be able to focus it on a single point. And Sutra 2 tells us that meditation is when this condition is sustained. This is meditative absorption. This is true meditation, when you're actually allowing the attention to be at rest. At rest in what? At rest in its own nature. And what's the point of this? Why should we do this? Its only purpose is samadhi, which is the illumination of awareness independent of its apparent object. So we are not being caught up in the objects of awareness. We are focusing on awareness itself. So once we've got that focus, and once we've got that, and once we can sustain it, this is samadhi. This is the whole point of the Yoga Sutras. These three, practiced together, constitute harmonious integration. And the word here is Samyama. Book 3 could have been called Samyama because it features in most of the sutras. I've translated this as harmonious integration. It's sometimes translated as constraint, but it's not active constraint. The constraint happens naturally. It's a state of integration. It's a state of complete focus. In fact, I suggest that we can call this applied samadhi, because we have this stereotyped image of samadhi as some sort of superconscious state and the yogi sitting immersed in it. But the true yogi, the true enlightenment practitioner, is active in the world, is effectively getting on with what needs to be got on with. And such a yogi is an effective individual, is an integrated individual. There is no conflict, there is no inner conflict. So this is samadhi in the world. We could also call this wisdom. Mastery of this allows wisdom to shine. Wisdom is operating in the world objectively and effectively. Progress in this is gradual, and this takes time. Self-realization is instantaneous, but the transformation which allows us to operate with wisdom in the world is a gradual process. This is, again, spiritual practice or enlightenment practice.